If you've heard it before, you already know how strange it sounds. Not a bark, not a catfight, something sharper, almost human. The kind of sound that makes people stop what they're doing and listen. And once you hear it a few times, you start noticing something else. It doesn't happen randomly. Same street, same direction, same time at night. And eventually, you realize something uncomfortable. The fox already knows this neighborhood better than you do. The fox has been watching this neighborhood for weeks. It just asked if you subscribed. Most people think foxes just make noise, random vocalizations, animal sounds. But researchers started noticing something. Foxes don't scream randomly. They can produce up to 20 different calls, so you'd never hear unless you were standing 3 feet away. Most of them are quiet, intimate, used between family members or during interactions with cubs. But the scream is different. It's designed to carry. Half a mile in some cases, sometimes more. It sits in a frequency range human ears notice immediately, even when you're asleep. Listen closely. The fox knows exactly when to use it. That's when the screaming starts. The female screams first, one sharp call that echoes across the neighborhood. Then silence. She's not calling randomly. She's testing, listening for which male answers, how far away, how persistent. The male responds. 3 short barks, lower pitch. And if you stay awake long enough, you hear it. Back and forth, call and response. One fox barely moving, the other covering almost a mile, crossing streets, gardens, fences, following the sound. And every few minutes, the female calls again. Closer now, testing if he's still coming. Researchers in Bristol once recorded a pair doing this for 40 minutes. The female stayed in the same backyard the entire time. The male crossed 3 neighborhoods before they finally met. It's not chaos. It's a conversation you're not supposed to understand. And once you recognize the pattern, the sound changes. It stops being frightening and starts feeling deliberate. But mating season isn't the only time foxes scream. There's another call. Shorter, lower, harder to place. Wildlife rehabilitators hear it when a fox gets trapped, stuck under a fence, cornered by a dog. And here's the strange part. It doesn't sound like a fox. One researcher described it like this. Even though I knew what I was looking at, my brain said, person. That reaction might not be accidental. Urban foxes have been living alongside humans for generations. In some cities, nearly a century. Long enough to learn what works. Which sounds make dogs bark? Which calls make humans turn on lights? A scream that triggers your instinct to freeze can buy a fox 2 seconds. Sometimes, that's all it needs. Animals keep behaviors that work, and in cities, the ones that adapt fastest survive longest. Urban foxes don't just make more noise than rural foxes. They make different noise, more variation, more modulation, more response to their environment. That's not instinct. That's learning. Here's where it gets stranger. Foxes are territorial. In rural areas, a family might control several square miles with minimal contact. But cities are different. Space is limited. Food is concentrated. Den sites are scarce. So urban foxes live closer together than their instincts want, and they negotiate boundaries with sound. A fox screams from a specific corner, a fence line, the edge of a parking lot. It's not random. It's a marker, a vocal flag planted in auditory space. Other foxes hear it, adjust their routes. Researchers tracked this with GPS collars. Foxes avoided areas where rivals had been vocalizing within the last hour. Not always, not perfectly, but enough. So when you hear that scream in your backyard at 11 p.m., 3 nights in a row, that fox isn't lost. It's claiming space, just long enough to move through. And here's what makes this even more precise. Urban foxes adjust their schedules based on yours. In neighborhoods with late-night activity, foxes vocalize less and move quieter. But where the lights go off at 10 p.m., the screaming starts earlier. Weekend nights, calls peak after midnight. Weeknights, sometimes as early as 9 p.m. They're not following a fixed schedule. They're responding to you, waiting for their window. The moment the street goes quiet, that's when they move. South London, 2022. A homeowner hears the same scream behind his garage 3 nights in a row. Same time, around 11:15 p.m. He checks his security camera and realizes the fox is following the exact same route, same fence line, same direction, almost to the minute. It wasn't just passing through, it lived there quietly. For weeks, maybe longer. Your yard isn't random territory to a fox. It's part of a loop, a known route. They know which gardens have gaps in the fencing, which driveways have motion lights, which neighbors have dogs, which houses leave food outside. They know when you turn off your lights, when you leave for work, when the street goes quiet. They've been watching, not clocks, rhythms. Rhythms you created without realizing. The sound of your garage door, the moment your porch light clicks off, the time you close the blinds. That's the signal. That's when the fox knows your yard is available. Here's what most people don't realize. When you're watching for the fox is already watching you. A researcher in Edinburgh tracked urban foxes with camera traps for months. She noticed something strange. Foxes would stop mid-route and watch houses. Not randomly, specific houses, specific windows. They were tracking movement inside, shadows behind curtains, lights turning off, garage doors opening. One fox was recorded sitting behind a bush for 11 minutes, completely still, watching a bedroom window. Not moving, not hunting, not feeding, just watching. The moment the light went off, it moved, crossed the lawn, checked the compost bin, left. It wasn't waiting randomly. It was waiting for you to go to sleep. Another family in Bristol set up a wildlife camera after noticing their trash bin was being knocked over every Thursday night. Not Wednesday, not Friday, Thursday. The camera showed a fox arriving at 11:45 p.m. every Thursday, exactly when they put out their trash for Friday morning collection. The fox had learned garbage day. It knew the schedule better than some of the neighbors. And here's the part that's easy to underestimate. One homeowner installed a motion-activated sprinkler to deter foxes from her garden. The first night, it worked. The fox triggered it, got sprayed, ran. The second night, the fox appeared from a different angle, avoided the sensor range, reached the garden. By the fourth night, it had mapped the sensor's blind spots. It wasn't afraid of the sprinkler. It had solved it. These aren't just animals reacting to their environment. They're learning it. You hear the scream. You feel that jolt of adrenaline. Maybe you look out the window, and by morning, it's gone from your mind. Just an animal. But that scream came from somewhere specific, from an animal that's been moving through your neighborhood quietly for weeks, learning the layout, memorizing routines, watching patterns. The scream is only the visible part, the moment when the fox's presence breaks through into your awareness. Most of what foxes do happens in silence. They move through gardens without triggering motion lights, cross streets without being seen, slip through gaps as small as 4 inches, about the width of a brick. If there's a route through your neighborhood, they've found it. A woman in Manchester installed a security camera after hearing strange sounds at night. She watched the footage the next morning. 3:14 a.m. A fox appears from beneath her deck, walks directly to her compost bin, pauses, looks at the camera, continues. She'd lived there for 4 years, never saw a fox, never heard one. But the footage showed the same fox, same route, same time, going back weeks. And while you were lying awake in bed, trying to figure out what that sound was, something outside already knew your neighborhood better than you did. The fox isn't screaming because it's lost. It's screaming because it knows exactly where it is. And if you've been hearing it at the same time, in the same place, night after night, that fox has been watching your patterns just as closely as you've been listening to its calls. You thought you were the observer, but something outside has been observing you the entire time. So the next time you hear it, pay attention. Which direction? Did anything answer? Did it move or stay in the same place? Same time as last night? Then come back and tell me in the comments, especially if it's happened more than once in the same spot. Tell me the time, the location, how many nights in a row. Because once you start paying attention to the pattern, you realize the fox was paying attention to you first. And that changes everything.